In this video, we're going to talk about a system cleaning utility for Linux called Stacer. Now, if you're using Ubuntu Mate, Stacer can be found through the menu of Applications, Accessory, and then scroll down until you see Stacer. Just click on it. After a moment or two, it will load up. Now, the first thing you're going to see by default when you load Stacer for the first time is your dashboard. Now, your dashboard will show your CPU usage, your memory usage and how much memory you have available and how much you're currently using, your disk space. I have a hard drive in this little small laptop, and this shows me how much space I'm using on the hard drive. It shows you the system information. I'm not going to go through here and read every bit of it, but you can see here I'm using Ubuntu. Actually, I'm using Ubuntu Mate, and my kernel release is 4.15.0-30 generic. I only use it in a 4-core processor, so this is an old laptop. Now, if you scroll down or actually click on the icons on the left-hand, the vertical bar on the left-hand side, you're going to see little icons, and I'm going to go in order. The first icon, and if you hover over it, you see the name of the icon or the name of that screen is the Startup Apps. So when you click on it, you're going to see the Startup Applications. Now, to speed up my computer turning on, I've disabled most of my apps turning on except for the Synapse, which is here. That's one of the programs that I use. And I can start the other, like Shutter. I don't have it running now, but when I want to execute Shutter, I can go through my Applications menu, click on it, and then I can use it. If I'm not using Shutter, there's no need to take up memory. But this is great for clicking and disabling or enabling startup applications. So if your computer is taking a long time booting up, you can bring up the startup applications and then turn them off. That way you're not removing the application from your computer, you're just disabling it from starting up, because if you're not always using it, you don't need it running in the background using up your memory. The next thing, and this is the powerful feature of Stacer, it's the system cleaner. The system cleaner works very similar to CCleaner. So if you're coming from the Windows environment, you've probably used a program, and I say CCleaner, a lot of people call it crap cleaner. In the olden days, it was referred to as crap cleaner, that was later changed to CCleaner. Now in here you can remove your package caches, your crash reports, your application logs, your application caches, and your trash. Now if you want to clean them all, you can click this and it enables them all. So you can do an analyze and see what's in each of those. If you're experiencing trouble with your computer, you may not want to delete your crash reports, because by wiping out your crash reports, when your system does crash, it generates a log and it puts it in a particular area. And by cleaning out your crash reports, if you're getting someone to help you online, or if you're looking at the information within your crash reports, you don't want to remove it. And same thing with your application logs or any of the others. You know, here, like when you're installing a package, the stuff that's left behind is in this particular folder. Now for me, I'm not experiencing any trouble with my system. Now you can select them individually. So that way, if I wanted to leave one out, like my crash reports, I can hit analyze and it would analyze it, leaving out the crash report. But in this case, I want to select them all, and now I'm going to analyze. It goes through them very quickly. As you can see, I haven't done it in a while. For my package caches that's left behind, I have 188 files that will clear out a space of 538 megabytes. My crash reports, I have experienced a crash report, and I know what that is, and I fixed it. But that will clear up 54.5 megabytes in file sizes. The application logs, I have 63 files left behind, which will clean out 31 megabytes. The application caches, now this is where I'm going to clean out a lot, along with the package caches. This is going to clean out over 1 gigabyte. And finally, my trash can. Now, by hitting the sweeper button, nothing's going to happen. And when I installed CCleaner or Stacer on a lot of computers that I have installed Ubuntu Mate, people were telling me it doesn't do anything when I click the broom. And I'm like, you're going to have to click the application itself, allowing the check mark to turn green. And by doing so, you click the broom and it will clean all of those out. Since I do have a large amount of information in my application caches, and I have a large amount of information or data in my package caches, this will take a while to clean out. I'm going to press it, and it's going to pop up for your password. That way a kid playing on your computer can't clean out this information, or especially your crash reports, without your permission or the root permission. I hit authenticate, and it's going to go through and it cleaned everything out. So now when I rerun or reanalyze it, let me go back here, reanalyze, I've got everything. There's nothing here. I can go back here, and I'll go back and reanalyze each of those. I can select them all. There's nothing. Maybe just a little bit of application, since I am running Stacer in the background. It generated a little bit of files here that I could clean out if I wanted. And it's going to ask me for my password again. Unlike in your terminal, when you're putting in your password, as long as you don't close the terminal, it won't prompt you. Each time you clean it, it will prompt you for your password. So I've already cleaned and saved myself a lot of space by using the cleaner, the system cleaner. Underneath the system cleaner, if you look, you highlight is your services. Now, if you don't know much about computers, you probably want to avoid this. These are services that's run by your system when you turn it on, the things that are running in the background. Here's the name of the service, and here is a brief description of each of the services. And I'm rolling down on my mouse, scrolling down, and as you can see on the right hand side, you have green buttons and you have red buttons. This column here represents that it turns on during startup or turns on during boot time. This one means that it's currently running now. So if you see a green button on this side, it's currently running as I'm speaking now. It's currently running in the background. And this one turns on the service at startup. Now, unlike here, these are things that I installed on my computer that I don't necessarily have to have. I could turn every single one of these off and then go through my menu and turn them on when I want to. These are system services, services that become part of the operating system. Like apt-get is something that I installed that's here, but it works with my system that allows me to install software across the internet, like an app store. This is in alphabetical order. So if you're familiar with something, or let's say you're having trouble with something running in the background, you can disable it. Without uninstalling it, you could turn it off to where it's not going to load at boot time. And if your system comes on smoothly and there's no errors, then you can say that my problem is the particular device that you turned off. So it's great for troubleshooting. Or if you want to disable something running in the background that's part of your system, you can disable it here, the things that are running now. But if you're a new user and don't understand any of this, I would recommend you to stay away from this and don't turn any of these off. The next icon below the services is your processes. Now, I like the process probably just as much as I like the cleaner. Actually, I like the processes a little better than I do the cleaner, because I can use the terminal and clean my system. I can actually use the terminal to end my processes. But it's easier to clean my processes, or to exit a process running in the background. I have to know my process identification number, which is this number here, to end it. Here, it's almost like using Stacer. It's almost like coming from the Windows environment. When something freezes or it's no longer working, you can press the Ctrl-Alt-Delete to bring up the task manager. You can select the application that's running and choose End Task. This right here does the same thing with Stacer in Linux. And let me show you for an example. Let's go to Education, and I'm going to bring up my calculator. This is the calculator, the TILEM. This is an emulator. This is my Texas Instrument emulator. Let's say, for example, it freezes. I'm using the calculator. Let's say I turn it on. I go like 12 times 65, and I hit enter, and I go to use it again, and it's just froze. It's no longer running, and I can't close it. Let's say I click on the X. Hypothetically, I'm not, but let's say I click on the X and it's still running in the background. I can't close it. Well, if I was running Windows, I'd hit Ctrl-Alt-Delete. When my task manager appears, I can highlight the TILEM and say End Task, and it will close. Well, in Stacer, this does the same thing. I can see the name of the program is TILEM. I can scroll down through, and basically I can look for the program TILEM. And if I'm looking over here on the right hand side for it, and I know it's one of the last applications that I run. Here it is, the TILEM2. That's what's currently running. It's using 26.4 megabytes, and it's the process ID 27151 if I was using my terminal. But I don't have to bring up the terminal. I can click on it. Now watch what happens to this calculator when I press End Process. It closes. So using the processes is, for those of you that are coming from Windows, is similar to the Ctrl, Alt, Delete, and End Task. That is a wonderful utility. Next, we have our, if you hover over it again, it shows you the name, the uninstaller. I do like this uninstaller, but you have to be very familiar with what the package says that it's installed. Now, if you look through the menu, when I go through and look, I have Bible Time and the names of each of my programs. And the names of each of my programs are like Opera, Midori. Each of these have an actual name, like Adam. If I'm scrolling through here, I probably don't see Adam. I see the command as the command that I would enter into my terminal. So unlike in Windows, where it has the actual command or the name of the application that you would see in your menu, this is a little bit more, I'm not going to say difficult, but more being able to recognize what the application, in this case I can see the AbiWord. So if I go to my Office, I do have AbiWord installed. I would select these. Well, there we go. And hit uninstall, and that would uninstall my AbiWord application. So once you use it a while, it becomes very familiar with uninstalling. However, I'm used to the terminal to where or the Synaptic Package Manager to where I can uninstall in there just as easily. But if you're not familiar with the terminal or the System Package Manager or Synaptic Package Manager, this is a great installer once you're able to identify what it is you're installing. For example, if I wanted to go like to Office and like the G-numeric, if I wanted to know the command there, let me show you an easy way to do that. I can click on my menu, I can choose Edit Menus, and when it pops up, and it's taking a little longer than normal because I ran my cleaner, it's not running in the background things that I had previously loaded. It says it's starting the menu editor, so give it some time. Here we go. If I go to Office and I click like on the G-numeric, as you can see, here is the name of the command. So if you wanted to uninstall that, just edit your menu, and then you can see the command name, and you can scroll down through this list, and it's in alphabetical order, so I should have dragged the bar, but now I've got it off the screen, so I'm just rolling it with my mouse. You can simply scroll all the way down till you get to the G's. I'm almost there. And we're in the F's. Oh man, I'm going through all my fonts and I have a lot of fonts installed. Alright, now I'm in the G's. So as you can see, this is G-numeric. So I'm going to scroll down a little more. This is not something I originally planned on, but as you can see, here's my G-numeric and G-numeric common. So if I go ahead and close this out, you don't want to uninstall it while having that menu up, because once it's uninstalled and you have it selected in the menu, it may not take it out of the menu. As you can see, that's the name of the command, so I would hit uninstall and it would remove the program. So if you're new to Linux and you don't know the command name of the application, you can just bring your menu editor up to identify the command on the uninstaller list. The next we have our resources. Now my old laptop that I'm working on only has 4 processors, so if you scroll down I can look at the status of each of the processors, and I can scroll back and look through the history of my processor. Now since I don't run Stacer in the background all the time, it's not going to have a lot of history, especially since I just turned it on a few minutes before I did the recording of this, and then I closed it. And then once I started the recording, I then showed you how to access it through the applications. So I really don't have much of a history to show you. If you keep it running in the background, which will use up system resources, you can use it to identify if one of your CPUs or if all of your CPUs is being overloaded and which CPU has the most load on it. Next, we have our apt-repository manager. Now, you can do that through your system. Up here, go through administration and go through your software and updates, and this does the same thing. It just allows you with one package deal, the Stacer package, it allows you to manage your repositories. So where we have other softwares, here we have our repositories and things that I don't have checked, it's not going to use from the repository. I could go in there and select these and delete them or remove them. Or instead of bringing up that dialog box, I can do the same thing here. So a lot of things, when my system upgraded from an earlier version, it turned it off and I didn't go back through and turn it on. Now I can later go through and switch each of these on to turn them green, and that way I can then use these. Let me turn that off. I can then use these to download from each of these repositories. I haven't yet. If I go and install something, I usually install the new repository for it. But this gives you the ability to add repositories, to edit an existing repository, or to delete a repository. Let's say, for example, that I have a program that I have on here. Let's look through here. Let's say that I've got, no, that's part of my Ubuntu. I don't think I got anything. Oh, my app grid, where I install software. Let's say that I go to File or System Administration. I say Software Updater. If the app grid, if this link is having an error at the time that I'm going to do updates, it's going to generate me an error on my updates. If I go into my apt repository manager in Stacer, I can turn that off and then later turn it back on when that link is fixed. So if they're having trouble with that website, I can turn off that repository and then later turn it on without uninstalling it. And that way it gets rid of the error that I get when I run my updates. The next icon is my GNOME settings. This is my Windows Manager, basically the way that my Windows looks, and then the appearance of my screen. Like I can say, show my desktop icons, and they will appear on the desktop. I do have the trash icon turned on, but you don't see it here because I've got it turned off in another settings throughout my window. So I really don't use this settings to control my desktop, but you could. The next one is our settings. And in the settings, as you can see, I can turn on enable or auto start Stacer each time my computer turns on, and it will load it in the background. That way if I wanted to use the data for my CPU usage. But for me, if I'm just cleaning something or going to disable, or if something freezes, I can run it through the menu and turn it on to clean or to disable a froze program. I don't need to use those system resources running all the time in the background. So I do not turn on Stacer. Now if you look here, by default the program loads up on your dashboard. But if you don't really care about this information and you only want to run it like for a CCleaner program, the last thing I run was here, and I can go back. If I wanted to see this screen each time I load, I can go into my system settings and change it from dashboard to my system cleaner. So when I close out Stacer and say quit, then come back into accessories, go back down to Stacer, instead of loading to the dashboard, it now loads to the cleaner. So I don't have to load from here and click on the cleaner, say select all or whatever. The last icon you see on the left hand vertical bar is the feedback, where I put my name and my email address. I can write an email to the Stacer company. Like if I was going to write them, the only improvement that I would see would be their uninstaller that I showed you earlier, where I go through and uninstall the packages. I would ask them, say, is there any way that you can put the application name that we see in the menu so that people coming from Windows would understand each of these without looking at the command. However, if you're using Linux for a while, you will grow to learn to identify the commands. So that's each of the features that Stacer has. Now I didn't show you how to install it like I normally do on the video, because below the video, if you're looking at this on YouTube, I will put it in the description below, and I also put a link to my web page. And on my web page I've got everything graphical images, so if you want to know more about Stacer, know about each of like what the dashboard is, you can go to my website and learn that. Now I do have all the steps how to install Stacer, like how to bring up the terminal, how to add the PPA, how to update your repositories, and then here is the program that you would run in your terminal to install Stacer. So if you would like to know more about Stacer and how to install Stacer, you can click on the link below to take you to my website so that you can install Stacer. Hopefully this video has helped you in understanding what Stacer is and realize that there are system cleaners for Linux. Have a great day.